Hello and welcome to the agenda on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes and I'm joined, as always, on the agenda by Phil Moorhouse of A Different Bias fame. Happy New Year, Phil. You all right?
Happy New Year. Yes. Are you sure we are live? Oh, we are live.
We are live, yes.
I'm just
Done
checking.
this before. Hey.
Okay.
Gallifreyan Ven and Sonic Shadow. Hello. We've got Vendetta in the chat. We've got someone called A Different Bias, whoever that is. And we've also got Chris C and others. If you'd like to join them in the chat, all you need to do is hit the big juicy subscribe button and wait for approximately a minute and you'll be able to join the chat. Also give us a like. We like likes around here. So we'll start off with the big question that was asked by the Financial Times today. Why is Starmer and Reeves not just like unpopular? You can expect that from politicians, whatever, you know. But like they are incredibly unpopular. Like the approval rating of Starmer at the moment is below that of Liz Truss, Liz Truss, Boris Johnson, and even lower than that of Rishi Sunak at the end of his term as Prime Minister. Do you think there are nefarious forces behind this, or do you think it's fair enough?
It's not fair enough now, because, I mean, if you think about it, Boris Johnson with Partygate screwed over a lot of people, tens of thousands of people, many tens of thousands of people, just with Partygate alone. Liz Truss with the mini budget, millions of people. That's people who, you know, even if interest rates are coming back down now, they still had to pay out a lot extra for their mortgages. Interest rates were going to go up anyway, because there was like the sort of post-pandemic inflation. But the fact that she raised it higher than necessary means they paid, some people will have paid a lot of extra money for their rents and mortgages. And the pension pots shrank, and that's permanent. Some people are having to work for a few more years longer. So she screwed over millions of people. So whereas Labour, I mean, you know, you think about Starmer, trans people have got some reason to be upset with him. That's basically it. That's basically it. He's actually improved things for a lot of people. So it's not fair enough, but it is also their own fault, because ultimately they're not, you know, they're getting constant wall-to-wall hate in the media. Like, you think about it, right from the start, it was all this freebies bollocks. There weren't any freebies. They didn't exist. You're talking about, oh, we go to this football match. Yeah, ministers get invited to things all the time. Unless after going to this event, whether it be a concert or whether, like, so, I mean, one of them was like getting Taylor Swift tickets, wasn't it? Or something like that. So they went to what did they do for Taylor Swift? Because unless you're going to demonstrate some, like with Boris Johnson, when he was getting money off people, you could also see how he was like also giving them valuable things back.
Yeah.
Where's the corruption? There wasn't. So you've had this right from the start. They've been attacking Starmer, attacking Reeves, and attacking what they're doing to the economy. I mean, you were talking about the Financial Times. What is the top story in the Financial Times today? About the fact that Labour are doing well with the economy. Again, this is a constant thing in the Financial Times, as well as The Economist, as well as Bloomberg, as well as all the serious economic papers. Whereas if you look in the mainstream media in this country, it's economic doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got all this stuff, and it's because Labour are not, it's two things, actually. I'm going to say the hate is down to two things. First, they're not fighting back. They're not fighting back against this narrative. People aren't reading the Financial Times. The average voter doesn't read the Financial Times or Bloomberg or anything. Right. But the other thing is, they also added fuel to the fire by politically naive missteps. Like the biggest, by far and away, the biggest was, of course, the winter fuel policy. Yep. But then also the PIP changes. You know, all of this was politically unwise, and it sort of provided some confirmation bias for all the shits that people were reading in the media. So there's a sense in which I am surprised by the level of hate. I'm not necessarily surprised that there's dissatisfaction, but the level of hate, I am surprised, because they're not doing anything really to screw over large numbers of people at all.
Yes. It's not like people have lost their livelihoods as a direct result. It's all been kind of fear-mongering of like, oh, well, if they bring in this inheritance tax, then this is what's going to happen. Farmers are going to take their own lives. when loads of family farms. This will happen if they do this. And we had the same with when they went after Pip. The rest of that bill was pretty good, and they ended up stripping out the bits that weren't good from the bill before it went through.
Yeah.
But then they got criticism because now it's ingrained in everyone's head that
Exactly.
Starmer keeps U-turning. And a lot of the time, especially with the farmers thing, they didn't U-turn. They're still doing it. They just put the threshold a bit higher than it was. That's not a U-turn.
It's not, no. But
it's a negotiation.
I mean, people like we need to. We also, I don't. This is why it's really bad to talk about U-turns as being a bad thing. It's like, well, if the government are doing something that's wrong, isn't it good that they U-turn?
Yes.
But I mean, I would still say
they have a conversation with their MPs. They have a conversation with their constituents, and the constituents say, "No, we don't want this," and so they don't do it. That's pretty democratic. But they're damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Well, but it's because they're not getting a message to the public themselves. And the stupid thing is they think they are. I keep seeing it. It frustrates me every time I read in some article where, you know, they're talking to someone from Number 10 and it's like they think they are getting a message to people. It's like, look, people on the street, the average voter isn't willfully ignorant, right? There are some people who want to make them ignorant, but they're not willfully ignorant. There are some people who are like that, not the majority. If they don't know about a thing, it's because you haven't told them. Just because you've said it, I keep saying there's a phrasing teaching that says just because you taught it doesn't mean they learned. And Starmer needs to learn this lesson himself. Just because you think you've told the public something doesn't mean they heard it. The proof of whether they heard it or not is, are they aware of the things you've done? Are they aware that they're better off now than they were last year? Are they aware about what you're doing with energy bills? Are they aware of what you're doing with workers' rights, with renters' rights that's now in force, or at least in law? Not all of it necessarily is enforced straight away.
Do you think, because it really stands out. I mean, it's described on the front page of the FT today as like shocking the amount of vitriol against these two rather dull technocratic politicians.
They are dull.
They're not characters. They're not outrageous. Well, they're not doing stuff that is actively harming the British economy. They're doing stuff actually that is helping us. And yet, the level of hatred I've seen leveled at them is quite shocking. People who have fought against Brexit and hate Farage, they seem to have more time for Farage than they do for Keir Starmer.
The reason for that is because, and this is coordinated, there's a coordinated far right push, and they understand psychology. I mean, in that article, you linked it to me earlier. I hadn't read the whole thing, but I've read it now. And it talks about Luke Trill, who is like, he does more in common. He's a pollster.
Yeah.
I actually had to criticize they did a really bad poll recently, but nonetheless, they're generally quite good, more in common. So Luke Trill knows his stuff. He's a pollster. And he says he doesn't understand it. So it's because you don't need a pollster to understand it. What you need is a psychologist. The far right are very, very good at triggering emotional centers. And that's what hate is, an emotion. So if you want to trigger emotions, whether they be positive or negative emotions, you need psychologists. So I keep saying what Starmer needs in his team, and he's a good clear out of everyone. He needs some political experts for a start. Chris Powell, who was a strategist for the last Labour government, has been writing pieces in the Guardian this weekend, or this week, sorry. I'm not saying go back to all the old strategies from before, but at the same time, you do a lot better than the ones they've got now. Yeah. But you also need in your team, these days especially, he needs psychologists, he needs sociologists, he needs people who understand how to trigger those vibes, because this hate is driven by vibes. It's not driven by fact. He's not screwing people over. You've got this ridiculous thing, and I don't know how widespread this is, by the way, because the media say a thing, they pretend it's widespread and it may not be. You got this thing now where apparently hairdressers aren't allowing Labour MPs into their salons.
Yeah. How
ridiculous is that?
People not letting
how mad is that?
Labour MPs
particularly when they don't even get to complain. For example, I know some businesses are complaining about, like, the national insurance, the employers' national insurance went up and the minimum wage going up and stuff like that. Actually, salons are the least affected by that, because when Rachel Reeves did boost the employer's national insurance rate, she actually there's a threshold. Like very small businesses don't pay it at all. Like very small businesses don't pay it. And she actually sort of raised the bar on that. So a place like a salon probably doesn't pay employers national insurance at all, unless it's a big one.
And we got a super chat come in from GOJ. Thank you very much to you for the £5. It's a standard negotiation tactic to set anchor, start far outside what the other side will accept, and when you moved it, they think they've won.
What's that in reference to? Sorry.
That
is a standard negotiation tactic. Yeah. It's quite true that you never start with what you want. You always start with much more than you want.
Yeah.
And then you meet in the middle and then both sides get to claim victory, certainly. But I'm not sure in what context that is.
Well, I mean, I guess the hatred of Starmer was straight out the gate. But like, I think it's just the level
not a negotiating
of it.
tactic. That was just a an attempt from the start to destroy a government that was going to introduce massive boost to workers' rights, boost to pay, boost to public services. There was no PFI involved. They were going to actually put public investment into public services. And they're dead against it. The right-wing media are dead against it.
But going back to you mentioned about the hairdressers and the pubs, like I was in a pub in Cheshire a couple of weeks ago, and they did have a sign as you went in saying, we don't want, we won't serve Labour MPs. I think there's too many in
probably not that many in Cheshire.
I was in Runcorn and Helsby area constituency, so it would have been the fuckers. Anyway, but they had a sign up with Starmer and Reeves, and it was like an old-fashioned Western wanted sign for like crimes against humanity or whatever it was, crimes against pubs. And all I could think is, you fucking idiots! It was a half-empty. It was not even half empty, And it was around Christmas time. It should have been absolutely bouncing. And I'm thinking, if you've got so few clientele anyway, why are you making around 1 in 3 people feel like shit when they come into your pub because they voted for Labour?
Also, the way I'll say this,
you voted for these people and they've made our lives a misery, say the pubs.
For a pub especially, like one huge thing, one of the reasons why pubs are failing is because of the massive cost of energy that the Tories inflicted. Whereas in Labour's industrial strategy, it's all about getting energy costs down for businesses. I mean, they talk a lot about getting domestic energy bills down, but actually their industrial strategy highlights as one of the top things they need to do to make us more competitive. Because we have different rates. Remember, a business doesn't pay the same rate for energy that we do in a house. It pays more. More per kilowatt hour. It's not just more because they use more. They pay a higher rate, a much higher rate. So Labour have made tackling that a key thing. So why would a business who saw their energy costs skyrocket under the Tories be attacking the government that's come straight in and said, we want to get your energy bills down, which is a massive cost to them? Fucking idiots. That's why people in this country, businesses in this country are run by cretins. I bet you, if I'd have been in that pub, I'd have gone to them, I'd have asked to see the manager, and I'd have said to them, why are you complaining about the government that's got a plan to bring your energy bills down? Did you complain about the government that sent them skyrocketing? I'd actually say that in front of these 2 customers in the pub.
Yeah. Well, the fact that it's now £7.50 for a pint in this place, when a few years ago it was £12.50.
Cheshire,
£2.50. Yeah.
Cheshire.
Yeah,
Jesus,
Phil. It was £5.70 for a bottle of beer in one of the pubs in Liverpool. £5.70 for just a bottle of, I don't know, Plonk, whatever, Euro Fizz, Foster's. I don't know that comes in bottles. I don't know, one of those Sol. Let's say Sol, for a bottle of Sol, Mexican Sol. it was £5.70.
Yeah, well.
So put the top back on. Put it anyway. Brad, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Cloudflare needs to fail for at least a month. See how strong emotions are when shouting at usernames are stopped for that long. Very true. The internet does not help with this. And at number 10. Number 10. What? Dice Stanton, thank you very much for the £10 super chat, my friend. Max just roasted Clarkson for voting Tory, then complaining about his empty local. Yeah,
I was going to do that. I did on my list, and then he got in first.
That he wants to get rid of, which was like society. He voted for Maggie Thatcher. He supported Maggie Thatcher. He supported Cameron, who said we want to do away with. And he actually mentioned in this piece, it was a few months ago actually, but it's just kind of come to light.
It was early December, wasn't it?
It got retweeted by a group, and he talks about the social aspect of a village, and you're like, that all got taken away by the Tories because that's literally what you wanted,
including the bus services.
Yeah,
they got rid of rural bus services.
Yeah, so how can you get out your house? Loads of people, millions of people in this country live under house arrest, especially on Sundays. There's no bus services. They can't go anywhere. They haven't got a car. They can't walk 7 miles to the nearest pubs. They're not going to. The pub doesn't get as much money. And I tell you what, that pub in Cheshire, I'm never going to go back there. I wouldn't have picked that place. In fact, if it was me and I was in charge of that night, I would have seen that sign and said, "Listen, we'll go somewhere else. We're not welcome here."
I'd fight with the manager. I'd have just picked a fight with the manager.
Get the manager out here. Yeah, but
someone in charge.
One of the things I always think about when I'm in a restaurant or something is if I like the restaurant but the meal's not up to scratch, I'll say something. If I don't, if the meal's up to scratch and I don't like the restaurant, I don't say anything. I just walk out.
Well, that's known because I want them to fail. Well. The the surroundings. It is actually weird. No, I did read one time. There's this one restaurant, and I read about it. I couldn't tell you what it's called in London that serves really good food, but it's got terrible service. But people keep going to it. It's got really spectacularly good food, but they're really fucking rude to you. It's hilarious. But generally speaking, people want the ambience, don't they?
People go there for people to be rude to them. Is that part of the dining experience?
I don't think it is. I think they just know that their food's really good, and they're not trying to charge Michelin prices or anything.
Before we go on, thank you very much to Chris C. Sorry, I did miss your super chat there. £5 super chat. The only way there is a clear out of Deadwood is if Starmer goes. From where I'm sitting, Starmer seems to be protecting the useless advisors. I think a lot of people have got that idea from the fact that, someone as unpopular as McSweeney is not being kicked out. Yeah. And I think that's going to be Starmer's downfall. As time goes on, I become less and less convinced that that Starmer is still going to be Labour leader or Prime Minister at the time of the next election.
I can't see it. I think what Labour need to do at the moment is they don't necessarily have to rush. What they need to do, they need to recognise, they need to consult with people like this, Chris Powell. They need to recognise that they don't have a plan. They need to work out a plan first. Because here's the thing. So if Starmer and Reeves have attracted all this hate, and it might be that if people start to see things improving, it gets better. But the closer you get to the election, the less time you've got to sort it out. And if that's not going to happen, you can. If it's just the unpopularity of the leader, you can get rid of him with just like a year to go. That's plenty of time. But they do need this plan to deal with the far right. They absolutely need that. And at the moment, they don't have it. They have bits of plans. And I was saying in my stream earlier, it is understandable that they don't have one, because the original plan sort of collapsed due to circumstances no one predicted, right? No one, even in 2024 or middle of 2024, thought that Reform UK would ever form a government. They basically represented a party that stopped the Conservatives winning power.
Yeah.
They were a strategic benefit to Labour.
Yeah. So
the plan they had, Starmer made it clear before the election, the plan they had was to, how do you deal with populism, he said, we make people's lives better. That was the plan. And that is still the plan. The problem is their plan was for 10 years. They ain't got 10 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem.
Because under normal circumstances, the Tories would be out for 10 years, no matter what Labour did. Yeah. But the rise of Nigel Farage's Refuck Party has been a major spoiler on that.
But it was, again, Labour did allow them the room for it. They allowed them the room for it with the doom and gloom on the economy, the winter fuel allowance policy, the PI pit mess. All of that created the space for Nigel Farage.
And there are extra reasons why Reeves and Starmer need to go at some point.
Maybe,
But I would say load them up like mules. Just load up all the bad shit on those two. Sacrificial scapegoats, and then send them out into the desert. and then say, oh, that was all them, and keep all the good
Well,
stuff. Say the good stuff was us. Your bog standard Labour MP. We fought for this. Those guys, they were shit. And that's what the Tories do every time. Every time they get a
yeah,
new leader, it's like it's a
yeah,
whole new party. Forget about
yeah. You
everything
might need
else that's happened in the past. We are a new party. And you can get people
and
who are like, that like when Theresa May took over from Cameron, it's a whole new thing. She wasn't a Brexiter. She voted against leaving the EU. She campaigned against leaving the EU.
so did
And
Cameron.
then suddenly she turns up and she goes, I'm a new person. No, but I'm saying that the differentiation between her and Cameron was nothing.
Yeah,
They're both old
that's
Tories.
right.
They're both,
Yeah,
nasty pasties. They both said that we should stay in the EU. So, but the Tories managed to successfully, in an election, which they then went on to win. I know they didn't
wow,
win, but they
sort of.
kind of won. Well, they got more
They
seats.
hung on.
They got
They
more
hung
seats
on.
than Labour. That's the main
Yes.
thing for them, I guess.
Well, they got enough to form a government.
Yeah, exactly. And then they did exactly the same trick with Boris Johnson. I think it's worth bearing in mind for everyone who's sort of looking at doom and gloom for the Labour Party at the moment. The Tories went down to 7% of the vote in the EU elections in the summer of 2019. And I know that EU elections, not everyone takes part in them. They have a low participation, low turnout, and all that jazz. But that was 7%. And what they did, they changed the leader. And suddenly, within 6 months, they had another election, a general election, and they stormed it. There's 80 more seats than everyone else put together.
I mean, there is an extent to which, if they change the leader, they can absolutely, because they've now changed the winter fuel policy anyway, because they changed that PIP. So all the stuff that made them unpopular, they can scrub away. That is true. But what I would say is, first of all, they have to make sure, because what will happen, like, let's say they get a new leader and that new leader carries on with something else that causes a problem, then they're screwed. So they have to make sure they've definitely cut away the infection before changing the leader.
Yes. But that's what I'm saying. Load everything up on them so they can keep doing things and keep screwing up, and then leave it to the moment where you can say, right, we're doing well now, and get rid of them at that point. And that's really horrible for Keir Starmer.
No, but it's not horrible.
But it makes good political sense to do that, so that people who come in can say, hey, look at all this good stuff we've done already. We've only just got here.
It's not horrible. Like I keep saying, how many times do I have to say it? Labour MPs exist to get Labour into government and to keep them in government, and to then
I meant it's horrible for Keir and Rachel personally. I just meant personally it's horrible.
No, it's not. They should, anyone going into politics, if they're going in for the right reasons, should have to expect that they are there to make other people's lives better, not their own, right? If they,
but I mean, come on.
I feel sorry
human.
for Reeves.
They are
Reeves hasn't really done anything wrong. Yes, okay, some of those policies came out of the Treasury, and she should have known better. But ultimately, it's for 10 Downing Street to stop any stupid policies from whichever government.
From getting all the way to actually having a debate in Parliament, only for the backbenchers in Labour to say, here's an amendment getting rid of the stuff we don't like.
And again, they were given fair warning about it.
Yeah. Shouldn't have got that far. I don't think that this is the mad thing. The Tories come across as so fucking incompetent in what they do. But actually, when it comes to the process of winning votes, the Tories blow all the competition out the water up to this point. And now that refuck have come along and started nibbling at their heels, that they're actually getting really concerned. And I do think in the next election, you're going to see behind the scenes, it's not going to be public or anything, but there's going to be a bit of an unholy alliance between Labour and the Tories to get this horrible little upstart group called Refuck.
I don't know. I think it's the other way around. The Tories will work with the Reform UK.
What to?
They're clearly gearing up to work with them. Well, because strategically speaking, the right wing are very good at coming together. They are. For them, power is the only virtue. That's it. There is winning and there is losing, and there is nothing in between.
Yeah.
And the way they will see it is the Conservatives are in direct competition with the Reform UK in quite a few seats. That causes friction. But there are seats that the Conservatives are battling with either Labour or the Lib Dems for, and Reform UK have got no chance. And there are seats that Reform UK are battling with, say, Labour, in particular in the north of England, the North Midlands for, that the Conservatives have got no chance in. Pragmatism, right-wing pragmatism will probably see them go, look, let's not compete in, just be a secret little meeting going on,
Yeah.
probably Robert Jenrick involved.
Yeah.
Secret little meeting that says, look, let's agree on these seats. These are no hope for you, but we can win them. These are no hope for us, but you can win them. We will still compete with each other. There'll not be a formal pact or anything, but can we at least agree that it is in our common interest not to fight each other? Just like Labour and the Lib Dems did at the last election. They didn't have a formal pact. They didn't need a formal pact.
No.
It was just,
that's what I mean.
It was
Behind
just an
closed
acception
doors.
that it's a waste of resources to fight a seat you can't win.
Do you think though that because the Tories versus, this is the thing that I feel about refuck though, like Tories versus Labour, they know that they'll get in, over half the time the Tories will win against Labour. But I don't know if that's going to be the case with refuck. If the two main parties are the Tories and refuck fighting each other, and the left is left in the dust by all the media shit, whatever. I can't see them sort of going, oh great, because surely if there's appetite out there for the far right bullshit that refuck wants, if they get into power, they're not going to change the voting system and make it fairer anymore.
They won't make it fairer. They might change the voting system.
Yes, but to make it fairer, they won't.
No.
They'll make it so that they stay in power forever. Yes. And
that's the worry as well. Populism always throughout history. There's now been a lot of examples of populist governments in the last 100 years around the world. They've never made the public's life better, ever. No. And as a result, quite a lot of these populist governments, not all, but quite a lot of these populist governments, left and right, try and strip away democratic power to the people because they're not helping the people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and that's the risk that they'll try and do there. The risk.
I've got a super chat come in from Ivan. Pubs and other places banning Labour MPs are absolutely ridiculous. They are causing alienation on themselves to many of their customers. It's nothing but childish petulance. Yeah, and they didn't do the same thing to Nigel Farage after the Brexit referendum, which made the price of a pint of beer go up through the fucking roof and made the cost of living so high that people didn't have money to spend on things that aren't necessary. Going to the pub, it's fun, but it's not necessary. It's not like keeping your house warm. Or whatever.
And also it's go on. They don't understand their own business. They don't actually understand their own costs. They don't understand how their energy bills have gone up, clearly.
Yeah. Nick in Diff makes a point. The problem, thank you very much for that, Ivan, by the way. The problem with getting rid of Starmer is that you might get someone worse.
Yes,
I would sooner see him radically change tact, even if that is possible. I think you're right. I think he could change tack, but I don't think that it will make much of a difference. I think that once you've decided that you hate someone, it's very, very difficult to change your mind on that. I think it's a lot easier when you love someone and then it changes to hate than for vice versa to happen. And I think as someone like James Corden or Russell Brand or whoever, who I decided I hated the first time I saw them, and everything they do just makes me hate them even more.
Well, Russell Brand has done a few things to deserve that hate, at least.
Yeah, but I hated him before we found out about all that shit.
Okay. But nonetheless, his life since has not exactly provided you with any sort of counterpoints, has it?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
But this goes for, Clint Eastwood, good example. He's a massive Republican. He loves the Republicans. Yeah. He's has that changed how I feel about him? Yes, absolutely, it has. And he's not done anything in the last few years that has made me go, okay, I'm going to like him now. Unfortunately, because I think his 60s movies are fantastic and his 70s movies. But yeah, I don't know. I think once you've decided that you loathe someone, they have to go a long way to get any kind of trust. Benefit of the doubt.
We don't yet know. We haven't pinned down what the source of it is. If it's just this feeling that they're making life worse for people, then that can be repaired. But there is a point at which, we don't know. You could be right. You could be right, and it could be irrecoverable. And Labour don't have a lot of time to think about it. But what I would say is, don't get rid of him until you know that the next leader isn't going to shit the bed. I don't just mean because of who they are. I mean, make sure that it's, if it is literally just about those policies, that's it and it's done now, and then fine, you can just get rid of the leader. But every leader that's credible has risks of their own. But Labour need to have a think about this. Labour MPs need to properly get together and have a proper, honest think about this. And they probably ideally need to get Starmer on board as well.
Yeah.
to actually just say, look, this ain't going to work out. We are going to need you to step down, but we're going to manage the process as tidily as possible in the best interest of this Labour government, right? I don't actually know that Starmer's got a massive ego, so it is possible that he will accept it if it is a fait accompli, but just they don't want a messy transition. And also, they don't want a transition where some of the things that people are angry about are still in place and the new leader adopts them and then they're screwed. And then what do you do?
But that's the Chris is saying Labour have just over 3 years to improve, but I don't think they will. I don't believe that the problem is Labour as a party.
No,
I think they can definitely recover, as seen by the way the Tories recovered in 2019. It can be done, but not with Starmer. And I just feel like once the die is cast in this sort of thing, once your approval rating is down to -61, yeah, I just don't see any way back at this point. But I think that they should leave him in place for a little bit longer, so that once all the unpopular stuff that they have to do to fix things is done, and then get someone who's a crowd pleaser. I would get a populist. I would get someone who's popular with the electorate because you're more
popular is
likely
not the
to
same
win.
as populist, though.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about?
Populist is
Go on.
someone who deliberately shits on part of society.
Yeah.
That's what populism is. It's where you rally a load of people round against another. It's divisive.
Yeah.
It's divisive. I don't criticize Labour for trying to unite people. They're just not doing it very well. They're actually uniting people against them. That's the problem.
The thing is, if you try and drill down into why people don't like Starmer, they give bullshit answers. It's just
that's
they
because
don't
it's
really know why they
vibes.
hate him. They just hate him.
That's because it's vibes. That's what they
Yeah.
need is psychologists and sociologists in the team. Starmer needs to have a clear out of the shit, get in some political advisors, proper political advisors, but also get in a psychologist and a sociologist to be a key part of their communications team. That's what they need.
Yeah.
Because it's entirely driven by emotional triggers. It's literally people pressing on emotional triggers.
Yeah.
And the far right understand it. They spend a lot of money on understanding it
Yeah.
on a very scientific level. To say they're anti-science, they don't mind science when it helps them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They employ psychologists.
There's a lot of things they don't mind when it helps them. Hey, listen, Saz has given a very generous £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Saz. And Ivan Ambrose has just triggered the confetti by giving a £10 super chat. Thank you. It frustrates the hell out of me with people who are forgetting about Boris Johnson and Liz Truss. The worst of the worst when it comes to prime ministers. I absolutely agree, Ivan. And I will give you some confetti. Confetti! Woo! Okay, yeah, Ivan, I agree. However, I will say that Boris Johnson and Liz Truss aren't prime minister at the moment, and that's the issue.
No, and people wouldn't have them back. I don't think people have forgotten. They wouldn't have them back.
No,
it's just that, with those two, people sort of had to draw their own conclusions that they weren't happy with them because the media were backing them. Well, large parts of the media were backing them.
Yeah.
Whereas the media are universally attacking Starmer, almost universally. And he's not fighting back.
Yeah.
He's not fighting back. And
with the whole not fighting back thing, right? That is so frustrating because he's like, okay, well, I don't want to fight back because then the papers will turn on me, or GB News will say mean things about me if I actually give Ofcom some teeth. And you're like, they're gonna go after you anyway. just say fuck it. The things.
The kid should have been that freebies bollocks. That was completely confected bollocks.
Yeah.
And they should have at that point gone, they are like, I mean, again, I had one of my viewers tell me that their local Labour MP had told them after the initial unpopularity and stuff like that, oh, but it's all right because we've done the stuff now and then for the rest of the term it'll just be popular stuff. And I said, yeah, but that's not, even if it is, that's not what the media will report.
Yes.
They will literally just make stuff up.
Yep. Thank you very much to Goose Springsteen for the £10 super chat. It's a bit cheeky, but as he ran out of time earlier, can I ask Phil to talk about the Shamima Begum citizenship revocation and why he thinks Labour are right to defend it against the
I didn't say I think
CHR.
the right to defend it. What I'm saying is the legal opinion is that it's what it is now. I mean, I can read it out to you, but I wish I could share it. Unfortunately, it's on a... Hold on, can I share it? somehow.
If you give it to me via WhatsApp, I can make it come up on the screen.
I've got an awkward share thing.
An awkward share.
But again, from a like a moral point of view, the Tories should never have taken her citizenship away. She was basically a child who'd been groomed.
Yep.
Um,
and taking citizenship away is not something. It's a punishment that is exclusively for people who have two passports. So, and that is 99%.
She did not have dual citizenship.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She didn't even have dual citizenship, did she?
No. It was done on the basis that because her family had come from Bangladesh, she would have access to Bangladeshi citizenship, but she didn't have it. They were just saying, well, she could apply for it. Well, what if they refused her? But the point is, from a legal point of view, this is an actual lawyer comment, because we're in a legal situation now. The moral case is what it is. I mean, we're talking about something that's like, was it 10 years ago now or something?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. It was when ISIS was still running about. So yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was 10 years ago.
So,
but the British Nationality Act of 1981 allows the Secretary of State to deprive a person of citizenship status if satisfied the deprivation is conducive to the public good, which I do not believe that it is.
It wasn't at all.
That's my issue with it, the fact that this is a punishment that can be applied to some people for doing horrible things, but can't be applied to others. And this week, where we saw the guy from Egypt, and you had people like you had that woman who went to jail for saying Lucy Connolly, for saying that we should burn down hotels with women and children in them.
Yeah.
She was saying, they should have their citizenship stripped of them, and I'm like, for what they've said. And hang on, she was the one who was complaining about going to jail for what she said.
Yeah.
One rule for me.
But also, this is hypocritical as well with the the Begum thing, because these same people who wanted her citizenship removed and don't want it back are the same people who said that if you've got a migrant in this country and they commit a serious offence, then they should be sent back. It should be their own country to deal with them. So why isn't it for us to deal with our own criminals then?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many issues with it. There's so many problems. So why do you think that at this point Labour should fight this?
Sorry?
Why do you think that? Do you think Labour should fight this? Do you think Labour should fight the European Court of Human Rights? If they say that they were wrong for doing that.
Oh no, I mean, from what I'm getting from this legal opinion here, the European Court of Human Rights won't they won't find in favour of Begum anyway, because legally it's got nothing to do with them. Citizenship's got nothing to do with them. So but in terms of like I was in favour of Labour just coming straight in and saying, look, this is our problem, we'll deal with our own problems. We'll bring her back to this country, and if she's done anything wrong, she can answer in this country. But they didn't, for whatever reason. The legal situation now, presumably, is they think, well, she spent all her adult life somewhere else. So it is what it is. But I don't get the impression that Labour are in any legal jeopardy here.
I mean, this was the Tories. I mean, if it does come down, can't they just say, well, this was the Tories' fuck up?
They could have done, but they can't now, because they've already, I mean, they didn't need a court. I mean, the last thing they want is a European court forcing them to do something unpopular. Yes. Because it would be unpopular. They should have just done it. If they were going to do it at all, they should have just done it when they had the unilateral right to. They could have just said, well, we're going to restore her citizenship and bring her back without any court saying otherwise. But I don't think, the impression I'm getting from what Rosenberg has written here is the European Court is unlikely to side with her anyway. I mean, it's just a case. They brought a case.
Yeah.
But the European Court of Human Rights doesn't really deal with citizenship issues.
Yeah.
So it's only a case of whether the government are deemed to have breached her human rights. But it's already gone through court cases where they've said no.
Yeah. I think that the Labour would do well to do away with this law from 1981 saying you can deprive someone of citizenship, because it is unfair that certain people can face a punishment that you or I can't. You don't even have a passport. They don't even have a passport for them to take off you, Phil.
No.
So the idea that you can have your passport taken off you if you are someone whose parents were not born here or you
Yeah.
weren't born here, it seems to me unfair
I,
under
I
the
would
law.
say citizenship is it's a two-way process. If you grant citizenship to someone, you accept the they're accepting certain responsibilities, and the state is also accepting the responsibility of saying, look, you are now one of our citizens.
Yeah,
Um, and if you fall foul of the laws, we will deal with that. We have a criminal justice system to deal with it, and that's what we should have done.
yeah, yeah,
But at the end of the day, again, the most powerful thing is surely she was a girl at the time. She was clearly groomed.
yeah.
And it's like these people who claim to be all outraged at white girls getting groomed, and yet they want to criminalize a brown girl getting groomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was the argument 10 years ago.
Yeah. But it fits into their narrative, isn't it? That the people we need to be scared of the most are the people we don't know who have, come from, or their parents have come from another country.
Mm.
And the reality is, if someone means you harm in this life and you live in Britain, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be a white person. Usually a Tory politician or a refuck politician.
The same thing.
Yeah. Funny, this is Daylight M saying, funny how the white girl caught with loads of drugs got released and brought back, or the granny smuggler in Bali who was on death row has now come back to the UK. Yeah.
Well, there's that British Egyptian guy as well who they actually released. So it's not, he's not white. But yeah, the
it was the
Begum case was a
Tories
really weird one even at the time.
with the
It was a
Egyptian
weird one.
situation, that Egyptian guy. It was the
Yeah.
Tories who gave him citizenship.
Yeah.
It wasn't Labour. And now they're
No.
like, oh, you got to take it off him. It's like, but you gave it to him. Oh, but
Yeah.
we didn't know about these tweets. Well, why didn't you fucking look them up then? I mean, obviously they were there for the public to see. If someone's found it.
Chris just saying there, yes, she was green, but she was 15. She was old enough to know right from wrong. There are 60-year-olds who are going to vote, who already voted to screw our country over, and they're going to vote for it again. I'm not sure a 15-year-old does know right from wrong if you've got people in their 60s and 70s who don't know right from wrong.
Yeah, but even so, that doesn't matter. Like, she should come back and stand trial then for the crimes she's committed, right?
Well, she would not be convicted because she was a child being groomed.
Yes.
And they know that, and the Tories knew that as well. They would not have been able to convict her because she was a child being groomed.
Yeah. So yeah,
but it's a mess. No, it's one of those things. I don't think anything's going to happen at all.
So you'd be surprised if the Strasbourg court says you have to take her back.
I don't think they can. I think that again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think this legal opinion is basically saying they're really not going to do that. There's multiple. I mean, this is someone who pays attention to how the European Court behaves. They generally, if you've had a court, one of Rosenberg's points is, first of all, they don't really do anything with citizenship. That's got nothing to do with them. Secondly, if a case has gone through the highest court in the land, which it has, it's gone to the Supreme Court in this country, and that court has earnestly tried to apply the law correctly, the European Court tends not to go against that.
Yeah.
So the European Court tends not to go against the highest constitutional courts in individual member states unless it thinks that they were disregarding European law or something, all that's happened here is, Begum has brought a case with the European Court. So, of course, it's been heard, and that makes it newsworthy. But, the legal opinions I have read don't seem to give her much choice.
Okay,
or much chance, I should say. Sorry.
Going back to what we were talking about at the start of the show about Starmer and Reeves' unpopularity. Despite the reasons for it, both mistakes that have been made by Keir Starmer and the war that has been waged against them by the media and all that kind of stuff. Do you think, though, that Starmer, all things being equal, deserves to lead Labour into the next election?
It's a wrong way of asking me. I don't like this thing about deserve. It's a bit like when he talked about,
do you
becoming
think
prime minister. But no. I don't necessarily think they should rush to get rid of him. They might have to rush. Again, it depends. There's things I don't know. I do think Labour MPs need to get together The rebels will be of no use to them, but they can ask them if they want. But they need to get together collectively and decide what to do. I don't think it would be sensible for him to lead them into the next election.
Yeah.
But if it's just him, if it's literally just a popularity issue with the leader, you don't have to rush, because as long as you think everything else under the bonnet is working all right, there is no rush. You can do it a year before the election, 6 months, a year is probably safer. You can do it then, but you do. But at the same time, I do also agree with like Chris Powell, who has been saying, we have to be careful not to allow Reform UK to be seen as normalised, as safe, as like a viable political party. So there is that's what provides the real rush. Like Labour do need a definite plan to tackle Reform UK that isn't just make people's lives better, because that plan was a 10-year plan. You can't just change it to now a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
So given that certain things do realistically take time to turn around, they need a better plan.
Yeah.
And they need it quickly.
Yeah.
But they also need to make sure they can't just change the leader without having that plan in place. Because how do you know that that next leader will be on board with that plan? So Labour need to collectively decide what is the plan against Reform UK.
Yeah.
And then they need to make sure they're picking a leader who's on board with it. Otherwise, you're screwed with it. Like, what's the point of changing leader? And then that leader goes, "Oh yeah, I would never have supported the winter fuel thing and all the rest of that bollocks."
If they get a new leader and they do something very cool in the first week of being leader that just goes down really well around the country, and just bask in the honeymoon period, because this is something that you mentioned it earlier that Starmer got dead wrong, and I think this is fatal looking back now. They squandered the honeymoon period by being fucking Debbie Downers and going, "Oh shit, the economy's fucked," and "Oh well, never mind," and doing the stupid getting rid of the winter fuel allowance. It just wasn't worth it. They thought
they went into their honeymoon period saying, "Sorry, honey, I've got a headache."
Yeah, exactly. To make a way of putting it. Ivan Ambrose, thank you so much for the £20 super chat, which triggered second confetti of the afternoon. Thank you so much to Ivan there. If Labour doesn't hold firm against the ECHR on this specific case, Refuck and the Tories will make political capital out of the issue and ramp up calls for the UK to exit the European Convention on Human Rights, which I agree with. And this is why I don't want the what Labour have done against trans people to go all the way to the European Court of Human Rights. They should fix it in-house, because otherwise it is going to give it is a gift to Farage and the griff lords out there to say, hey, here's a campaign, here's something that you can all campaign on for the next election, getting us out of the European Convention on Human Rights. Because they can point at that and say, hey, we tried to do something, we tried to be horrible to trans people, and they wouldn't let us, the bastards. And they'll talk about it being a foreign court, which they often do. Oh, the foreign court telling us what to do, and misrepresenting it amongst most people, and they'll pull the same tricks that they pulled with Brexit. George only, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. The majority of Brits know nothing about the MHRC. I know nothing about the MHRC. What is that? Is that do you mean the ECHR or the EHRC? But yes, I think I'm one of them. Thanks very much for the super chat. Anyway, George, personally, I think we need to raise the age of criminal responsibility and actually take time and money to prevent kids from falling into a life of crime, says Chrissy. Yeah, I agree with that. And Chris, I agree with you that she probably did commit a crime in what she did. And I do think she's culpable for, having to stand trial. The kids who killed Jamie Bulger stood trial, even though they were only like 11 years old at the time. And they were found to be culpable of that murder because they should have known.
What did she do? She skipped the country.
I know, but I don't mind the idea of her going to court. I don't mind, her being arrested and being questioned and all that kind of stuff, as criminals are. My problem is that she's had a passport taken off her, which is a punishment that can't... you and I could be arrested for something. If we go and do something incredibly traitorous, like vote for Brexit... No, that's a bad example. People didn't get arrested for that. If we go and do something terrible, like, I don't know, storm the Capitol building and injure police officers, taser them, and end up with the deaths of 9 people on our hands, I would expect us to go through court and then go to jail, and if necessary, and then get pardoned by Trump. But at least the legal process should be there. There shouldn't be a special thing that can only happen to us, that can't happen to other people as a punishment.
Well, not once you shouldn't strip people's citizenship away, certainly.
Yeah.
Because like I mean, be a bit more careful about who you give citizenship to, but she was born in this country, right? Yeah. She was like,
also,
she was born.
It goes in the face of our legal system, because this is just one person, Secretary of State, getting to make the decision on this matter of whether someone is guilty of a crime, and all it is that the head of the Home Office decides, is this person guilty of a crime? Yes, I'm going to punish them. Here you go. Here's the punishment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Judge, jury, and executioner, and it's that from a legal point of view, we're looking at the fact that Labour are possibly going to get rid of jury trials, which this might not be popular. I agree with for the short term, but I think there should be a sunset clause.
To get rid of the backlog.
But
I also only agree with it if it is for the purpose of getting the waiting list down. But there are some people say it won't even do that. So for me, I'm not sure. I would only agree to it if it's going to get waiting list down.
Yeah, same here.
Because we know that jury trials...
It needs to be a limited thing. It can't be forever. Yeah. It's just because they've got 70,000 cases ready, waiting to go through the court system in this country at the moment. And criminals are getting away with literal...
There's violent crimes that are waiting for years, which means that they end up collapsing because the victims can't go through the psychological torture of years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cruel. It's cruel on the victims.
But is this method going to change that? There's some legal experts saying, but it won't. It won't actually help clear the backlog anyway.
Yeah. Gallifreyan then says, as a resident Gallifreyan, I just want to emphasise that though they seem similar, the Grift Lords are not ours. Yeah, Time Lords, Grift Lords, completely different. The majority of Brits know nothing about the ECHR, says George Jordani. Thank you very much for the spelling correction there, because I was like,
they didn't know anything about the single market either, which is why they voted to leave it.
Yeah,
in 2019, I'll emphasise, not 2016.
Yeah. Goose Springsteen, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. I think Begum is alleged to have helped make suicide vests for ISIS fighters, but I don't know how you could prove that beyond reasonable doubt that happened in the lawless region a decade ago. Yeah, Goose, I agree, but if there is any evidence, fine, let us stand trial. The point here, I think we're all agreeing, I think even Chris is agreeing on this one, she shouldn't have her citizenship taken off her. She should come back here and stand trial for what she's done. And if she's found not guilty, she's found not guilty. That's just the way it is. And one thing that has changed, actually, and I was quite surprised reading about this, and not being Scottish, I guess I should have known this from just doing politics, but I'm not a legal scholar by any stretch of the imagination. They've got rid of the not proven verdict for Scottish courts. So in the past, it was not guilty, guilty, or not proven. Now, I thought, as apparently a lot of Scottish people thought as well, that not proven meant that you could actually be trialed for the same crime again if more evidence came to light. But no, it turns out that the way that the legal system worked over there, which would be a sensible thing to do, it's like there's not enough evidence, but we think there might be something here to keep the door open in the future. That wasn't the case. If you got found not proven, your case the case against you was found not proven, you were left to go free. So murderers were left to go free because people believed that they would be on trial again in the future. And though they've changed the double jeopardy laws in 2011, I think, so that now you can stand trial again if substantial new evidence comes to light, which is right. I always thought that was a good thing that Scotland had this opt out, to say, well, there's not enough evidence, but we don't think they're necessarily innocent. But no, it's actually a load of bollocks, and campaigners have fought for decades to get rid of it, and it was done away with yesterday, which is good news. Also, Bulgaria has now joined the Eurozone, so well done to Bulgaria.
Yes, that'll be an interesting one. If their trade gets a nice boost in the next few years, that's another little argument against joining the euro.
Yeah. Christy says, back in the late 90s, the ECHR stated that it should be judges that set the minimum terms for life sentences, not the Home Secretary. And now we have judges setting the minimum terms. Okay. And
I don't mind political setting of minimum terms because, for example, one big thing I would do is for certain violent crimes, I would set a minimum term. Because I'm absolutely sick of seeing, for example, where you have a rape conviction and the judge lets off the posh white bloke because it had hurt his career.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Sort of the point of prison, to fuck someone's career up.
To bring things back to the unpopularity of Starmer and Reeves, I don't think that doing the job properly is cutting through. Even if people feel better in the next few years, even if they do see their standard of living increase, even if they do see more money in their wallets or purses or bank accounts at the end of the month to spend on nonsense, then I don't think it's enough at this point. And I think
No,
it's the
I
same
don't,
mistake that
because
Blair made actually in the later years of the Labour administration in the late 2000s. I think they made the same mistake. They thought competence would be enough, and you could put someone as uncharismatic as George. who was the prime minister after Blair?
Gordon Brown.
Gordon. God, Jesus Christ, Gordon Brown. I mean, I thought he was a competent politician. I really did. I thought he was a great. He was a great chancellor. As a prime minister, I thought he was shit because every time I saw him, I just felt sad, Phil. I just felt sad.
As a campaigner, he was bad. I thought he was a good... For me, I actually approved of him as prime minister, but at the end of the day, you don't stay prime minister if you can't win an election, and he wasn't the best campaigner.
Yeah, because he just made me feel sad, Phil. I just looked at him and I went, oh, he was like Sad Sack from the Vaggy Dolls. He just made me sad. But yeah, and I felt a lot of other people, and they're like, no, but he's very competent. You know, look what he's done. He's improved the economy, and they rode the storm of the global the economic collapse of 2008, and we did better than a lot of other countries out of that. But still,
we
still didn't make any. But
as far as people were concerned, their living standards had gone down compared to 2 years before.
Yeah,
and that was all there was to it. And the media blamed Labour for it. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was all there was to it. Whereas ironically, and of course, again, you can't foresee this, but if Gordon Brown had decided to trigger a snap election when he became prime minister to get his mandate, and he probably would have won it.
Yeah. So finally,
and they could have elbowed David Cameron nice and early.
Yeah. Finally, just on this point about psychology, people want to feel like part of a group. They want to feel like part of a gang. And hating Starmer seems to be something that unites the hard left and the hard right and the centre, the people in the centre. Like they all go, oh, it's okay because I hate Starmer too. ... And then they go off to be, lunatics, whatever they want to talk about. But people want to be part of the yin gang. And if it's seen as fashionable almost to hate Starmer, then I really, really think that for so many reasons, political, social, psychological, I don't think he's ever going to be able to take himself out of this.
I don't think it would be sensible at this point to let him go into the next election because he's proven willfully unwilling to improve the comms.
Yeah.
Even if without anything else added onto that, he's just he had a golden opportunity to get rid of the dead weight in Downing Street.
Yeah.
With that Wes Streeting drive-by assassination attempt, which went badly wrong. And
blown up in their face.
And that was the time. That was the time for him, because we're already told, like unofficial briefings, that Starmer lost a lot of respect for McSweeney after the Island of Strangers speech.
Yeah.
So there was already the seeds of doubt in there. But he hasn't. Is like, and coming out with saying, but the briefing didn't come from number 10. Where it's like when it can't have come from anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just, for whatever reason, he's quite happy being utterly ruthless in every other aspect of his governing, but not his own personal team, which is just,
it's a hell of a weakness.
It's loyalty beyond all reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know why.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what it comes down to is that they've lost people's trust. And also, I mean, for a Labour voter, Labour member like myself, like I think they just absolutely squandered those first few months in office. Absolutely squandered it. And if you don't trust someone, it is so difficult to earn.
In government, you have to be relentlessly positive.
Yeah.
Relentlessly optimistic.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, I think that what's going to happen to Starmer in the future is what happened with John Major, which is that after he was kicked out of office, people started having a bit more respect for him and saying, "Oh well,
Oh
on
yeah,
the balance of things, he wasn't that bad."
but for me, again, I don't really care about politicians. As far as I'm concerned, they're supposed to be putting themselves in service. They're basically like infantry in a battle. It's very nice of you to go on the front lines and get your head shot off. But at the end of the day, we are accepting that you're going to die. And that's the same attitude I have of MPs. Like, but they're not. I mean, Starmer's very rich. It's not like he's losing his job and he's not going to know how to ends meet. In fact, he's actually losing money by being prime minister because he's a very successful lawyer.
Yeah.
So he could make way more money. So nothing bad is going to happen to Keir Starmer or Rachel Reeves. It's a shame for I have more sympathy for Reeves because she hasn't fundamentally done anything wrong. And also her replacement may not win over the markets as well. And actually that could be a problem.
Yeah.
So I've more sympathy there, but there is no realistic way to get rid of Starmer and not Reeves, unfortunately. They're tied together.
Ned makes an interesting point here. There's something truly odd about number 10 advisors. I do wonder if maybe PMs don't have as much free reign to appoint them as we think. I worry donors or think tanks get too much influence.
No, they've got completely free reign. This is entirely about. I mean, first of all, donors, anyone who wants to keep Labour in power and is going to fund them to do that is not going to be happy at the number 10 operation right now. Well, yes, we know powerful donors do have outsized influence. Of course, if you're going to give £1 million to Labour, you're going to get meetings, right? And they're going to listen to you. But no one at the moment who wants Labour in power is impressed with this.
Yeah. Goose Springsteen, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. That's very generous. Thank you, Goose. It's often that the 1998 Human Rights Act that causes issues in the UK, as many other countries simply accept ECHR judgments but ignore rulings they don't like. Not sure how we avoided giving prisoners the vote, though.
You just ignored it.
When it comes to stuff about asylum seekers, there's only been about 30 cases since 1998 involving asylum seekers in this country, and the government's won over half of them. And I said to, who was it who said needs to calm down? David Peacock, don't be rude to other people in the chat, please. You can be rude to Don't be rude to me or Phil or to other people in the chat. You can be rude about politicians as much as you like, or voters, I don't care. But when it comes to Labour, I don't feel like we're sitting here slagging off Labour. We're both acknowledging that Labour's done a lot of good things. We're talking about this huge problem that Labour faces, and I think we need to talk about it because we need to come up with
Labour
solutions
lose the next election, we've got MAGA 2.0 in this country.
And it'll destroy us.
There's certain checks that we have that America doesn't, but there's certain ones they have that we don't.
Yeah, it's imperative that Labour win this next election, and if fattening up the calf of Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves and setting them out into the wilderness.
They're supposed to stand for public service. I said, I mean, I voted for Starmer. I backed Starmer. I mean, for the leadership, that is. And I said years ago that the moment he's a liability, I'll be like, I will be calling for him to go. I'm not interested in tribalism. Is really very dangerous. Yeah. And also feeling sorry for politicians. Politicians are fine. Yes, someone who gives up their job to become an MP and then they lose 2 years later or something, they may not be fine. Okay, we can have some sympathy for them. But someone who comes into politics as already a very wealthy millionaire and can go back to earning more millions after it, they're fine.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing bad happens to Starmer. Nothing bad happens to Reeves if they step down. They've got to be part of a project to make people's lives better. Those are the people I care about. Whenever a general election result comes out, whenever the Tories win, my first thought is never, I'm disappointed because my team lost. It's always, people are going to die that didn't have to die. People are going to be plunged into poverty and have, their children's going to have their life chances ripped away from them. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And that's what you always have to think about. It's the millions of very vulnerable people. There are some people who can survive a Reform UK government.
Yeah.
I might do quite well. Who knows? I've no idea.
Your
Maybe I'll do
videos will
brilliantly.
great.
Maybe I
Yeah.
could be like Midas Touch and get shitloads of views bashing Nigel Farage.
Yeah.
And, and it'd be brilliant for me. But it will be absolutely horrendous for the people whose lives are going to be wrecked.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there. So thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats there. Thank you to Phil for coming back on. Happy New Year again. This is our first agenda a couple of weeks because we took a week off last week because it was like Christmas and that. And we deserve a day off now and again, don't we, Phil?
I had 2 days off. I have 2 days a year off.
Amazing. I didn't.
Luxury.
I kept making shows. You're back tomorrow night, aren't you, on your channel at A Different Bias at 7:00 with your live show. So if you want to catch that with Phil and ask Phil questions live and interactive, you can come along to that. If you want to stay on this channel, though, you can do both actually. Best of both worlds. Come here at 9:30 tonight here on Politics Social for the Friday night social. We'll be playing a game about how you felt about 2025. It's all in the feels tonight. We'll be playing a little game, so please join us for that. And until then, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all the super chats, really, really kind of you. And just thanks for being awesome. Give us a like on the way out. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.